Hey there, it's me, Julie, Fei-Fan Balzer, and I'm here with another Exploring Art Products video. This time we're exploring the FlexCut Micro Palm set of cutters. So they're meant for wood carving, but of course you can use them for stamp carving. So you can see that it comes in this little wooden box, and you simply slide it open, and inside there's a piece of styrofoam. There's this weird little box, which I didn't know what was in it, and it turns out to be Band-Aids. That's right, in case you cut yourself. They're kind enough to give you some Band-Aids. If you didn't know that these were sharp tools already, I guess that's there to help you figure out. So the Micro Palm set has four different sizes of tools. You can see it's a wooden handle with a blade that's permanently in there that you don't have to change. So they have a bunch of different kinds of tips. They have some V gouge. There's one V gouge in there, and then the rest are U gouges. And you can see right there the difference between the V gouge and the U. Obviously, a V gouge is shaped like a V, and a U gouge is shaped like a U. Amazing how that works, isn't it? Um, and then the other two tools that are in there are progressively larger, and they are both U gouges. So you can see that there. The Speedball tool that is the basic tool that I always use, which I'll be comparing through this video, comes with some square gouges, a V gouge or two, and a U gouge, so a couple different shapes. But you can see all the little blades in the handle, and then you switch out the tips, and it's a plastic tool instead of a wooden one. So I'm trying to compare to see which tip is the closest to that one. And this one looks pretty close in terms of size. Those are both V gouges right there, you can see, and they look like they're almost exactly the same size. That's the U gouge, which is about the same size, just shaped slightly differently. And then the other two tools that are left in the box are bigger than that. So enough chit chat, let's get to some carving and see how these work out. So I'm just gonna slice off a small piece of Speedy Carve, and I'm coloring it with a marker just so you can see what's happening. So this is the Speedball carving tool. This is the basic tool with a #1 blade, and you can see the size that that blade makes. So then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna test out the other blades in comparison to it. So, you can see already I made a mistake. I went too deep. And that was an ongoing problem I found with these blades, which is it was hard for me not to go too deep. So I'm going to try again to see what kind of line I can get. And you know what? It's quite a bit thicker than the Speedball tool, which kind of shocked me a lot, actually. So I think that was the U gouge, and this is the V gouge. And you can see obviously a V gouge is going to be thinner than a U gouge, but you can see it's about the same size as Speedball. Now we're ramping up to the larger size tools here, one and then the last one, which is the biggest one. And they all make nice, lines. They're comfortable to hold in your hand. They're easy to use. It doesn't feel very different than the Speedball tool, even in your hand at all or anything like that. For me, it's just about the mark that it's making. So you can see here, I'm just making a whole series of small marks, first with the Speedball tool and now with the new FlexCut tool, so I can see how it compares in terms of coming in off the edge of a block. Now again, these are tools that are meant for wood carving, and it's possible that because of that, they just handle it a little bit differently or something like that. I think they're meant to go a little more shallow. That's what it seems like to me, but I'm not totally sure. But you can see they make nice clean marks. I'm trying out some curves to see how the tool spins. It looks a little uneven to me, as opposed to, I've always found that curves with the Speedball tool are nice and narrow. But again, I'm not sure if this is the tool or user error because I just haven't used these ones before, and I've used the Speedball tool a million times. So there you go. You can see all the different marks in the block, the size of it. Again, the biggest surprise for me is that I thought this micro palm set was going to be tiny, tiny, tiny little blades, and it turns out that it's really not any smaller than that #1. But the proof is in, let's actually carve a fairly intricate stamp. Now, this is a transfer technique that I teach in my book, Carve, Stamp, Play, which is a stamp carving book. It's full of techniques and tips, ideas, projects, all sorts of stuff. But it's the super easiest way I've ever found to get a design, especially text, onto a block. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start carving. And I'm gonna start the way that I always do. I usually start on the little inside parts, right at the beginning of whatever I'm doing. So you can see I make it around the first curve. I'm trying to protect my points, meaning I try not to come too deeply into any of those points. So I'm actually, it's hard to tell, but I'm starting slightly far away from the edges in order to make sure that I don't gouge into anything. And I've just made my very first mistake. You can see it right there in the corner of that top loop of the B. It's not a smooth circle, it's jagged. So I'm sort of, as I'm carving away the little part in the bottom of the B, I'm thinking about what to do, and I decide to see if I can fix it. This is something I've done a million times when I carve stamps. We just try to fix my mistakes. I mean, they're not mistakes, they're creative opportunities, but nonetheless, let's try to make that creative opportunity or take advantage of that creative opportunity. So I'm trying to smooth out that curve. It's not really going really well. It seems to be looking worse instead of better. So I'm just going to keep hacking away at it and trying again, rotating the block and not the tool. It still doesn't look good. But it's so early on in the carving process that I think I can just fake it by changing where the line is, and that's going to kind of fake it. But you can see that that is definitely not a smooth curve. And that was kind of a consistent thing that I found as I was carving, which is I had a lot of trouble with curves with these tools. I also had a lot of trouble not going too deep. And when you go too deep, you get a ragged edge. It's one of the things that beginning carvers do a lot. And I sort of felt like I was going back to being a beginning carver, which is interesting. Again, a new tool can sometimes do that to you. But here is the print that I made from the stamp. And you can see, I mean, my personal opinion is that this is not smooth. It's very jagged. It looks, I don't know how to describe it other than jagged. I was disappointed. The tool was not as fine as I thought. I had trouble controlling it. You can see all my little gouges and digs, no matter the fact that I tried to clean it up several times. So not totally what I was expecting. Now, the FlexCut tools are much more expensive than the Speedball tool. I think this set was like $60. I think I paid on Amazon. Whereas I think it's like $12.99 or $8.99 or something for a Speedball tool. So I would say they're definitely quality tools. I had more trouble controlling them, but carving is a personal thing. So I think they're certainly worth a try. They're not so expensive as some sets that are $200 or something like that. Anyway, hope you enjoy this, and I hope you'll come by and visit me at balzerdesigns.com and check it out. Thanks so much.